Welcome to AGS Week 9 Headlines Edition. And our first headline today is the Jets finally get their first win of the season in an early window game that I thought was an absolute thriller against Cincinnati.
Now, it looked for the first three quarters like the second half of what I said last week was going to come true, where the Jets should get blown out by the Bengals. Down 15 headed into the fourth. The Jets pull off the miracle thriller, and I stand by it's the most Jets thing they could have possibly fucking done. Because now they don't hold the first overall pick anymore. Not Cincinnati. New Orleans does. Obviously, halfway through the season is still early enough that they could get it back. But, man, I just know that organization too well. They are not going to get the first overall pick. And this was a big first step to not getting the first overall pick.
It definitely was. And this was a game. I mean, Joe Flacco still played a really great game, but the Jets really rallied in that second half. And huge day for Aaron Glenn. Huge day for Jets fans, even though it's a weaker Cincinnati team. Still, getting a first win means a lot. Definitely don't have a great chance of making the playoffs, but who knows? Anyone can win out, I guess.
The Jets go 10-7 and make the playoffs. It's the greatest turnaround ever. Justin Fields wins MVP.
Not gonna happen, but if you're a Jets fan, that's probably what you're hoping for. But Jets, congratulations getting your first win, and congratulations maybe on not getting the first overall pick, probably.
And a headline moving to the next headline, which is one that I think we're both very interested in. Jonathan Taylor, another 3 total touchdown game. Where does that put him in your MVP leaderboard? We did our rankings last week. He was at 5 for both of us. I think he bumped himself up this week. Where does he fall in your MVP ladder now, and who's above him, if anyone?
Honestly, for me, Jonathan Taylor is now he's got to be the MVP frontrunner for me. I understand he's a running back. I understand that the MVP right now is a quarterback's award to lose. But Jonathan Taylor, if you just watch the games, he is the engine of the Colts offense. The Colts are not a 30-point-a-week team without Jonathan Taylor. Jonathan Taylor is playing at an absolutely insane level. And I personally think he should be the winner of the MVP. Right now, he's on pace for 30 touchdowns. He still hasn't fumbled the ball yet, and he's had, I believe, 170 carries, 170 touches, 0 fumbles, and he's just playing absolutely out of his mind, and he is the person I think should win the MVP right now.
Yeah, I mean, it is a quarterback's award to lose. Drake May didn't play poorly, but had an interception against a not great Cleveland team. A good Cleveland defense for sure. Patrick Mahomes, I think, knocked himself out of MVP frontrunner status with his 2 interception night, one of which, not his fault, bounced off of Travis Kelce's hand. But still, it's tough to have a 2 interception day and remain the MVP favorite. Josh Allen is getting carried by James Cook, who had a tremendous day against the Panthers. And honestly, Cook should also be in contention for MVP. I'm just going to toss that one out there. Fewer touches than Jonathan Taylor, averaging. It's kind of a Saquon, Derrick Henry situation from last year, except Saquon scored fewer touchdowns all of last year than Jonathan Taylor currently has, courtesy of the Eagles' dominance on the 1-yard line.
I definitely think that the conversation of James Cook is an interesting one. I do agree. Patrick Mahomes probably did knock himself out of that front runner spot, or even that top 3 spot. Josh Allen hasn't been playing great over the last 3 weeks. He's kind of had a little bit of a slide, and Drake May also didn't have the best game last week, while Jonathan Taylor is just playing out of his mind for Indianapolis. But there is a quarterback that has been playing really, really, really phenomenally these last couple weeks, and we know you're smiling because you know exactly who we're about to talk about. And that man is Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts, over these last couple games, has had a absolutely phenomenal, highly efficient passing stretch. Kind of, to me, is a lot like what Jared Goff looked like in a lot of 2024.
Well, and, to the really impressive thing about specifically last week's performance, even though it wasn't the perfect passer rating performance we saw the week before, Hurts went out against the Giants and did what he couldn't a couple weeks ago and just absolutely blew him to hell. But he did it without A.J. Brown. And I don't want that to be overlooked because Brown was out.
Yeah.
He didn't play. And Hurts threw 4 touchdown passes. And not the most impressive yardage total, but didn't turn it over again. Had a high completion percentage again. Threw 4 touchdown passes. That's crazy. And I'll give credit where it's due. Kevin Patullo, you called the best game of the season against the Giants. And I thank you for that. It was a very well-called game. And if you can come out of the bye and keep swinging against Green Bay, Detroit, Dallas, and whoever else the fuck we have after that, we're going to be just fine. That's the Eagles team we expected a couple weeks ago when they went into MetLife on Thursday night. We got it. It just took the Kelly Greens to bring it out of them.
Yeah, I mean, these are just the stats for Jalen Hurts over the last 2 weeks combined. 34 of 43. 43, not a whole lot of pass attempts for 2 games combined, but he's completing that at nearly an 80% completion percentage at 79%. He's got 505 total passing yards. Again, a little bit lower, but lower attempts. But he's got 7 passing touchdowns and 0 turnovers over the last 2 weeks with a passer rating of 155.18. It's just an absolutely phenomenal stretch for Jalen Hurts right now. And if they can go into the bye and if they can come out of the bye with the same kind of performance and the same kind of efficiency from the passing game, I think the Eagles are going to continue to be the contenders that they were kind of questioned for being a little bit early in the season. But they're playing phenomenal ball right now, and Jalen Hurts especially is playing phenomenal ball right now. And last week was a winner of a weekly award. This week probably would have been again if it wasn't for 2 other phenomenal performances, which we'll get into now. The person I've got winning the NFC Player of the Week last week, I thought was Tucker Kraft. You don't see a 140-yard game out of a tight end often, and he played a really great game, not just receiving the ball, but he also played a pretty good game blocking the ball. And he had 7 catches, 143 yards, 2 touchdowns, leading their team in yardage for the win. So just absolutely phenomenal performance from Tucker Kraft.
Yeah, and look, I'm not going to sit here and pretend that you're wrong. Tucker Kraft should be the NFC Player of the Week. I just want to give a shout-out to someone who probably would have been the unanimous NFC Player of the Week if not for Kraft's incredible Sunday night performance on National Tight End Day. Saquon Barkley had his first great game of the year, and this credit to Kevin Patullo, credit to the offensive line, credit to Saquon Barkley. 19 touches, 174 yards, 2 total touchdowns. Won my NFC Player of the Week award because I'm biased and a homer. Just a really good game from Saquon, what I think we all kind of expected from him coming into this year. If it took him from midseason to hit his stride, if he hits his stride from here on out and he's rushing for 100 or 150 a game from here on out, I don't think any Eagles fan is going to complain about that, even despite the slow start over the first 7 weeks.
Yeah, and going into the player we both picked for our AFC Player of the Week, talked about him earlier, Jonathan Taylor had 174 yards on 14 touches. 3 total touchdowns for his 4th time this season. Said it earlier, Jonathan Taylor playing absolutely out of his mind. Had a really great game. Person we both believed was the AFC Player of the Week. Our Unk still got it. Mentioned him earlier as well.
Yet again, it is Joe motherfucking Flacco. Maybe he's still elite.
I don't know if I would say that. He does have one of the best receiving corps in the league.
That's true.
But he is playing great ball right now. He is playing absolutely phenomenally as a backup for the Cincinnati Bengals. I want to applaud the Bengals front office for going out and trading for Joe Flacco mid-season, because he is an absolute upgrade over Jake Browning. And as you can see, he got a win in his first game, got really close to a win in his second game, and I think Joe Flacco and the trading for Joe Flacco could very well keep the Bengals playoff hopes alive. He's got our Unc Still Got It award, still kicking it at 40, I believe. He had 223 yards, 3 touchdowns, and 0 turnovers in the unfortunate loss against the Jets.
And now from one AFC North player to another, our big man of the week, I can't think of a more deserving performance for big man of the week that we've had this year. Sans maybe the week 3 Jordan Davis play. But even that was built on one play. This is built on 12 or 11. Myles Garrett, big man of the week, 5 sacks. Became the first player in NFL history to ever log 5 sacks in a single game and lose by more than 3. The Browns lost by 19. 6 tackles, a forced fumble. We've talked a lot about Drake May. We have not talked a lot about Will Campbell, which I think is actually a disservice to him. Phenomenal rookie season so far for Will Campbell. This past Sunday notwithstanding. He got bullied by Myles Garrett. He gave up, I think, 3 or 4 of the 5 sacks.
3 of them.
And look, man, we said it about – I tweeted it about Jalen Carter a couple of weeks ago when Carson Wentz threw the interception against Philadelphia, or the pick 6 against Philadelphia. Sometimes you just get Myles Garretted, and there's nothing you can do about it.
Yeah, utmost respect to Myles Garrett. I think Will Campbell is going to bounce back, though. He has that kind of mentality. He's that kind of person. He's that kind of player. I think this is going to be a really great experience for Will Campbell. But Myles Garrett, absolute dominant performance against New England. And going into a team that I didn't think was going to get the win this week. But they got the win and did so dominantly. Our winner for Coach of the Week is Broncos head coach Sean Payton. Held Dallas to under 30 points. And at that, with Pat Surtain II getting injured early in the game and not playing for the rest of it. And against George Pickens and now back CeeDee Lamb, that is hard to do. But Sean Payton, great job getting the win dominantly and holding an elite offense to what seems like a season low.
Well, and on that Broncos game, giving credit to someone that we've been kind of harsh on this season. Even I, for as high on the Broncos as I am, I've been very harsh on Bo Nix. Bo Nix won our chart of the week last week. 19 of 29, 247 yards, 4 touchdowns and an interception. Beautiful looking chart. Lots of blue, only 1 bit of red. The first time, actually, I think we've picked someone who had a turnover to win chart of the week.
But it was just such a beautiful chart. I mean, really even spread. 4 touchdowns. That's why he got chart of the week.
And that'll do it for the headlines edition of Any Given Sunday. The VOD should already be out, as is customary. It is the first one to go out. The podcast should be up tomorrow, hopefully. Tomorrow from when this video goes live, not from when we're recording this. And yeah, follow us on Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, everywhere that is linked down in the description below. A much smaller than usual shout out to our executive producer, Holt Hendershot, who made it look pretty today, but was working, so couldn't do as much of the setup as he usually does. We love you anyway, buddy. And yeah, we will see you all next week. Hello and welcome to Any Given Sunday, Week 9. This is the main podcast, and let's get right into it with a very, very interesting circled game. The Vikings were on Thursday Night Football last week. They're coming off a mini-bye. Got absolutely embarrassed. It came out after the game that Carson Wentz was playing through multiple shoulder injuries in his throwing arm, which makes the performances that he gave a lot better in retrospect. But the Vikings get J.J. McCarthy back this week, and they are in Detroit to take on the Lions off a bye. This is going to be a very interesting game. that could potentially have implications for the top of the NFC North, not this year necessarily, but next year and beyond. What do you have going down in Detroit between the team coming off a mini bye and the team coming off a true bye?
Yeah, the way I see this game going is that the Vikings right now, the Vikings are struggling a little bit, and the Vikings are struggling more than we thought they would. And particularly for me, I was expecting J.J. McCarthy to be a little bit better out of the gate because while he has played this year, he hasn't really looked that great. And I think that could just be rookie quarterback. It could just be J.J. McCarthy's just not that guy. But I'm curious to see how J.J. McCarthy performs because I think it does truly tell how much of a contender the Vikings can be over the next few years. Because they do have a good roster. They have a good defense. They have a good coach. They have a good offensive roster. They have the pieces. And to me, they're a quarterback away from being contenders. But Detroit has continued to be one of the best teams in the NFC this year. And they're playing really, really hot right now. I think my original prediction for this game was probably a little bit kind for the Vikings because I've got it as 30-24, but I think this game could also very well be a 33-7.
Yeah, I think 33-7 might be a little harsh. I don't think last time we saw J.J. McCarthy he was playing fully healthy. I think he got hurt again in week 1, tried to gut through it in week 2 and couldn't. Which, I mean, his week 1 performance wasn't all that either until the fourth quarter. But J.J. McCarthy has shown me that he can be a good NFL quarterback. And I kind of expect him to continue to show me that. I expect a few flashes, even if they come in garbage time. I've got 28-24 in favor of Detroit at home. But I really wouldn't be surprised to see a Vikings upset here. They still have a good defense. They still have the best receiver in the NFL. They have a really good ground game between Aaron Jones and Jordan Mason. T.J. Hawkinson's still a threat. Jordan Addison's still a threat. The Vikings are a very good team with an excellent coach in Kevin O'Connell. And I think that's going to end up mattering a lot more against another well-coached and very talented team like Detroit now that they've got all the pieces back in place and theoretically everyone's playing healthy.
Yeah, either way, I think that this is a circled game for a reason. I'm excited to watch it. I want to see how both these teams perform, and I'm excited to see how this one turns out. Either way, we both got the Lions winning it, just like we also agree on our next circled game. We've got the Colts featured again in our games, and this week they're playing in Pittsburgh, which isn't the easiest place to play in. With that, the Colts offense has been absolutely explosive. We talked about it in the headline section of this week's episode a lot. Jonathan Taylor's playing it at a great level. Daniel Jones is playing really efficient football. This Colts offense is lethal. And off of that, I think the Steelers are absolutely no pushover. But I've got the Colts winning this one 34-28 in what should be a really good game.
Yeah, I mean, worth mentioning is the Steelers' defense. And we talked about this last week. Steelers' defense has not been good. And it got embarrassed by a really good tight end in Tucker Kraft. As good as Tucker Kraft is, dare I say, Tyler Warren is better. And while Daniel Jones probably isn't as good as Jordan Love, I think that the difference in skill level between Jordan Love and Daniel Jones this season is about equivalent to Tyler Warren and Tucker Kraft this season. Just, in opposite directions. So I trust that Tyler Warren would have a really good game this week. If you have him in your fantasy league, start him. Nothing's going to go wrong. It couldn't possibly be that Jonathan Taylor just takes over one of the worst run defenses in the NFL again.
I hope he does.
Surely that's not going to happen. I think that the Steelers' offense had a really outsizedly bad week against a good Packer defense last week. The Colts don't have as many edge rushing threat or pass rushing threats as the Packers do, and that's where the Packers were really able to hurt Pittsburgh. So I think the Steelers' offense will bounce back after a down week. I still have 34-28 in favor of the visitors. Indianapolis has been on a tear this season. If they're going to drop one in the back half of their season, this might be it. Just because it is a really good opponent that they're facing and they're on the road. But barring a what the fuck was that game where they just lose to like the Titans or something, I think that this is probably one of their better chances to lose in the back half of this season.
Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, the Steelers have shown to be a significantly better offense this season than in previous years, most likely due to the addition of Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers, credit to him, he's playing absolutely great football at his age.
41.
And despite that, had a very, very struggling performance last week against Green Bay. I agree. I think they're going to bounce back, and I think the Steelers could very well make a playoff appearance and very well could surprise a lot of the preseason predictions and win the AFC North. But on to another huge AFC game that we've got circled for this week. I'm sure everyone's got their eyes on this matchup. Everyone's had their eyes on this matchup since 2020. It is the Chiefs at the Buffalo Bills. Well, I want to hear what you think is going to go down in Orchard Park.
Yeah, so I've got a prediction not just for this week, but also for when these two teams inevitably meet in the playoffs. This game's in Buffalo. And it doesn't matter where the next one is. The Bills are going to win this one, and the Chiefs are going to win that one. Because that's how it goes. The Bills win in the regular season, and the Chiefs win when it matters. And they knock the Bills out, and it's heartbreaking every fucking year. And the Chiefs are always at full strength when they play the Bills. That's the case this year as well. I think the Chiefs are going to have an incredible game. They looked fine on offense last week. Not great, despite the 3-score win. Buffalo is a better offense than Washington and a better defense, and they're healthier. And for all those reasons, I have the Bills winning 28-24 at home at Orchard Park. I think the Bills might go undefeated this season at home. I lied. Actually, they already lost to the Patriots at home. That's my bad. But I think they might not lose another game at home this season until maybe the playoffs because it's Orchard Park's last season, and the NFL really, really needs Orchard Park to go out on a high note. So if the Bills lose this week and the Chiefs end up completing their trip for the 1 seed or the 2 seed, and the Bills have to go to Kansas City, that's why. They didn't want heartbreak at Orchard in February or January.
I agree. I think that I find it funny that you're kind of making this prediction off of a superstitious guess, but you're absolutely right. This seems to be the trend where Bills get the best of the Chiefs in the regular season. Come February, come January, doesn't exactly go that way for them. But I do agree. I think that the Bills are a significantly better team. They've had a little bit of a slide despite the huge win over Carolina, but it was Carolina without their starting quarterback. And even with that, I think this game's going to be a shootout. Honestly, I've got it written as I think the Bills are going to take it 38-35. I'm expecting a really high-scoring game out of two offenses that have potential to be really, really powerful, really strong, can score really fast. And that's the kind of path that I think this game is going to take, even with the fact that I think Patrick Mahomes has been playing significantly better than Josh Allen this season. I do think that the Bills are going to take it. I like their running game a lot more, and I think that that's going to be the big difference in this one.
All right. That does it for our circled games. Maybe in record time. Let's move on to the rest of the pool. Before we get started there, the teams on bye this week, Cleveland, New York, Philadelphia, New York being the Jets, Philadelphia, Tampa Bay. Two great teams, two awful teams. Good luck to the Browns coming off a horrific loss to the Patriots. Jets, congratulations on the win. Ride that momentum. Take it out of the bye week, and please, for the love of God, blow your chance at the 1 seed. It would be, or at the number 1 pick. It would be so funny. Philadelphia, don't fuck this up. Tampa Bay, don't fuck this up. And now with that, 49ers at Giants.
This is the first game that we disagree on so far this week. I've got New York winning it, and it's even without Cam Scadaboo, even without the walking, living, breathing CTE. I really like what I've seen out of Jackson Dart this season, and even please don't make me eat my words again, Kyle Shanahan. The 49ers should not be winning games right now. They should not be winning games right now. I think the Giants are going to take this one in a 30-20 game, and the streak has to end. The insanity run has to end. I mean, you got beat by a really struggling Houston team last week, and this might be the Rams fan talking, but I don't think the 49ers are as great as their record shows so far this season. And you had a really bad game against the Texans, and you have to travel to the East Coast. You're traveling away again, and I don't think the 49ers got it right now, and I've got the Giants winning 30-20.
Yeah, I mean, sticking with the Niners just briefly, I think Houston put out a very interesting blueprint on how to take care of this Niners team. Houston ended the game with 41 and a half minutes of time of possession. 24 of those minutes came in the first half. They possessed the ball for over 2/3 of this game. That is a very tough formula to replicate. Unfortunately for San Francisco, there exists a team in Green Bay, a team in Detroit, a team in Philadelphia, a team in Tampa Bay, and a team in Seattle that are all probably capable of replicating it. And I might even toss that pesky little team in LA in there too. It's hard to control time of possession by any more than a margin of like 10 minutes. Like it's hard to go like 35-25, let alone 41-18.
I mean, what do they say? What do they do against elite offenses?
Don't let them have the fucking
field.
ball.
And I don't think that the Giants are able to replicate that, especially without Cam Scadaboo. But next man up, Tyrone Tracy is still a good running back. He's a better second string than a lot of NFL teams have. And I think if you're Tyrone Tracy, go out there, show them that you still deserve a lot of carries and a lot of touches and a lot of field time. Go out there, show you deserve the snaps. I think he will. I think he could have a great game in this one. But I want to see why you've got the 49ers taking it.
Yeah, I mean, in reality, it's just New York is so banged up offensively. And there was a noticeable shift in how New York was performing before and after Cam Scadaboo got hurt. Now, I will say the fines for this week have not come out yet, so I don't know if Zach Bond got fined. But a lot of Giants fans have been calling the tackle on Scadaboo a hip drop. I don't see it. There's no clear like swivel to offset the weight to me, which is the key component of the hip drop. If the league rules that it was a hip drop, that sucks. And hearts out to Cam Scadaboo. I'm glad your surgery went well. You're a dog, and while I'm super grateful we don't have to play you again this season, I am not grateful that you are not going to be on the field. That being said, no Malik Neighbors, no Cam Scadaboo, a rookie quarterback against Robert Saleh's defense? Give me a break. Something's got to give here, right? And the Niners had a really ugly loss last week, and they're going to try to get back to what they do well, which is running the football and throwing the football efficiently and effectively, controlling time of possession to the best of their ability, and just beating the shit out of an inferior opponent. I think that Jackson Dart is good enough to make it close. I think that he's shown that it doesn't really matter who he's throwing to, which is very rare air for a rookie to be in. I've got the Niners taking this one 24-21. I would not be surprised if the Giants won. But this feels like a bounce-back week for the Niners to me against a team they probably should beat, even with all the injuries they're facing. And speaking of teams who should beat out other teams.
We've both got this one listed. The Chargers are coming off of a Thursday night game, so they've had a little bit extra rest, a little extra planning. But do you really need it when you're playing the Tennessee Titans? Probably not. We've both got this one listed as a Chargers W. I mean, yes, it's in Tennessee. But the Chargers, just go out. Just go beat them. Just go beat the team that you are clearly better than.
Well, and the Chargers have kind of been a tale of two teams this year. They lost Rashawn Slater before the season started, and then they lost Joe Alt for a couple weeks in the middle of the season. Now, Joe Alt's back, and him being back meant that Minnesota's defense couldn't really do what they wanted to do pass rush-wise. I'm a little scared of what this Chargers team is going to look like next year with Slater and Alt, because Justin Herbert might just have 12 seconds to throw. And there's not much you could do against that as an NFL defense unless you're the Broncos, who are tragically in the Chargers division, or I don't know, probably the Eagles. But even then, the Eagles defense the Eagles secondary as currently constructed is not built to hold up against a team like the Chargers. It's the Titans. I've got this one at 35-7. It's my blowout of the week pick. I'm going to stick with the formula that's been working. Pick against the fucking Titans. We have gotten our blowout picks right 2 weeks in a row. Although, to be fair, we could have picked literally any game except Cleveland, New York last week. Or Cincinnati, New York, excuse me. And been right last week. So I'm sticking with it, though. Chargers against the Titans, blowout of the week, 35-7.
It would be my blowout of the week if there wasn't another matchup that I thought just was a little bit larger of a disparity. But if you're the Titans, do what the Bears did, I believe it was 3 years ago. Get the first overall pick, trade it for a haul, and rebuild your team. You've got Cam Ward. I like Cam Ward. I think he can do it, get it done. I think he's definitely worth keeping around and developing. But a part of that is you have to have the team around him. And currently, right now, you don't. So even if you don't do well this year, which so far you haven't, go out there, get a haul if you end up with the first overall pick. But right now, you're kind of one of the bottom three teams in the league playing one of the AFC West front runners. So Chargers 31-10. But on to a game that both of us think is going to be a lot more interesting. We've got the Falcons going to Foxborough in New England. And Drake May's been playing really well. The Patriots offense has been moving. They've got a little bit of a streak going. And the Falcons are a lot like the Chargers in that they've kind of have been a tale of two teams. Which Falcons team are we going to get this weekend?
Yeah, and there's a less clear denominator for which Falcons team you're going to get in any given week. Now, Kirk Cousins, I don't know if it's a hot take, bad quarterback. Really bad quarterback.
I don't think that's very hot.
Michael Penix is questionable this week. If we see Kirko again, I don't think this game's going to be particularly close. Kirk is not that guy anymore. He is the all-time bag getter at quarterback. He's made the most guaranteed money of any quarterback not named Deshaun Watson. Michael Penix, though, is kind of Jekyll and hiding himself this year, and he hid against the Panthers in that awful 30-13 game or 30-0 game. If he plays and he's healthy and Bijan performs, this could be a very interesting game. And I'm kind of prepping for that scenario with my score prediction of 31-27 in favor of New England. Because, come on, man, I'm not going to pick against Drake May. It's not happening.
Yeah, I mean, Drake May, like I said, Drake May and Patriots offense have had an absolute role. I've got the Patriots winning this one at home, 30-23, and that's under the circumstance that Michael Penix is healthy. If Michael Penix is healthy, I could also see this one going the other way, though, just because do we get the explosive offensive Falcons team, or do we get the Falcons offense that just kind of hides? But we'll see. I've got it. Patriots 30-23. And onto a team that did very, very well last week, had a very dominant showing. We've got the Broncos rolling into Houston. Houston just picked up a good win against the 49ers at home, and they're at home again against one of the best teams in the AFC right now.
Well, and the Broncos, I've criticized them at times this season for not having a complete game. They just turned around and had a complete game, and they did it without their best defensive player. No disrespect to Nick Bonito, who is phenomenal, but Pat Surtain is pretty easily the best corner in the league and has been pretty much since he got drafted.
Reigning depoy. It's and when you lose a player like that and then still have a dominant defensive performance, I mean, absolute props to the Broncos. And I think it's going to be not as complete of a game for them offensively, but I do think that defense is going to continue to perform well. I think the Broncos are going to take it in a close one, but I think it looks more of a garbage time touchdown by Houston. But I think the final is going to look something like 24-20.
I've got 28-14. I think a garbage time pick six by C.J. Stroud probably seals this one to make it look like a wider disparity than it was. Not necessarily a pick six. Could be a fumble six by Woody Marks. But, I think that the Broncos finally showed us why I was so high on them coming into this year. The Broncos were my AFC pick for the Super Bowl in the preseason. The Rams were my NFC pick. Wouldn't you guess, halfway through the season, it's changed to what it was halfway through last season, which is the matchup we ended up getting. I don't think people really want part 3 of Chiefs-Eagles, but it might be inevitable. I really hope, for everyone else's sake, that it's Broncos, Rams, and if the Eagles are going to lose, I hope they do it in the wild card round because I can't take an NFC championship loss mentally. That being said, I've got the Broncos winning 28-14. Shout out to Sean Payton. He was our coach of the week. We talked about that in the headlines video. And now a game that I am personally very invested in because the Bears drafted Justin Fields' replacement. Justin Fields just put up 39 on the Bengals. Can Caleb Williams, can Ben Johnson, can the Bears defense replicate what the Jets just did?
I mean, I don't think so, bluntly. The Ravens just got their first win of the season. Not their first win of the season. What feels like their first win of the season. The Ravens had an absolute bounce-back win at home against this Chicago team, a Chicago team that I want to mention that you've been quite high on. Now, you like Caleb Williams.
It's my curse.
You like Ben Johnson. I do think that the Bears are going to be able to win this one. I think they're going to have a bounce-back win here. Shout out to Joe Flacco, winner of our Unk Still Got It award last week, getting the start again against the Chicago Bears, who are coming into Cincinnati. I think the Bears are going to win it 24-21. I think it's going to be a close one. I think that this is potentially going to be a more underrated game of the week. I think it's got the potential to be really close and down to the wire.
Yeah, the Bengals defense is just so bad. And I know I said that about the Ravens. But the Ravens were coming off a bye week. The Ravens had a week to fix their shit defensively. The Bengals don't. And they just gave up 39 to the Jets.
And I believe it was it wasn't 30 in the second half, was it?
It might have been. I can check the box score, but certainly
It might have been 29. I think it was 29 points in the second half.
Here, let me Jets Bengals.
But just to expand on, like, the Bengals did just let up a huge shutdown. They shut down. They melted in the second half of that game against New York, and that's the Jets.
Yeah.
What are you going to do against a sometimes competent team offensively?
Well, the Jets scored 26 in the second half last week, including 23 in the fourth quarter alone. Now, I don't think it's controversial to say Caleb Williams is better than Justin Fields. Ben Johnson is a better offensive schemer than whoever the fuck the Jets are employing. DJ Moore, not as good as not as good as Garrett Wilson, but Rome Odunze is better than the Jets too, even though they just traded for John Mechie, who I like a lot. And Luther Burden, the rookie, is a lot better than whoever the Jets are tossing out the die at receiver 3. The Bears are a more talented team than the Jets, who just put up 23 on the Bengals in the fourth quarter. I've got 35-31 because there's a considerable amount of damage in this Bears secondary. So I think that Jamar Chase and T. Higgins are going to be able to kind of run wild. But I think that however many points Joe puts up, the Bengals defense is going to give up at least one more.
Probably. But they did also just let up 30 points to Tyler Huntley. I'm just anything can happen on Sunday. This is one that both of us are going to be watching a little bit closely. I'm excited to see what happens. We've both got Bears. And on to a game, a team that just had I believe they did get the win last week, the Packers.
Yes, yeah.
And the Packers, they've got the Panthers going to Lambeau. Panthers this week did not have Bryce Young last week in that 40-9 loss against Buffalo. Got Bryce Young back. I think that's bigger than a lot of people want to say. Even with Bryce Young's struggles, he's a little bit better than the Red Rifle at this point in his career.
Yeah. Andy Dalton, Kirk Cousins, shake hands. You were both better at one point than the guy who is currently starting in front of you. That is no longer the case.
I forgot Andy Dalton was in the league.
Yeah.
Before last week, I forgot he was in the league.
It's not good. The Panthers' whole team looked awful last week, right? It's one thing to say Bryce Young's not there, and that's why the offense didn't perform. Fine. 100% I agree. You gave up 40. And you gave up a James Cook legacy game. Now, James Cook is a great running back. But it was a very disappointing showing from the Panthers defense. And I think that they kind of stabilized things this week, but I don't think it matters. I think the Packers get the win 28-24. And the Panthers might even have to tack on a garbage time touchdown and make that look a little closer.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I think that the Panthers are going to have a much better week this week. I think they're going to put up a good fight, but away against the Packers, a team that is just plain and simple better than you. I think the Packers pick up the win 27-21. And moving over to the West Coast, we've got the Saints.
Yep.
Who I believe, if the season ended today, would be the holders of the first overall pick.
Shout out to New York.
And they're playing against a Rams team who is coming off of a bye after getting a win across the pond in London against the Jaguars. And I've got this game pinned as my blowout of the week. The Rams have been worse this year than they should have been.
Yeah.
And I say that specifically offensively. And I know that last week I had him as my MVP frontrunner, but Matthew Stafford has not played as well as he has in the past. And I say that because there have been times this season where he just misses passes. Very, very uncharacteristic. But I think the bye week gives him time to go back, look at those throws. I think it gives him time to rest his body. He's 37. He needs the rest. And I think coming out of the bye, the Rams just absolutely blow the Saints out of the water. The defense let up 7 points to Jacksonville. They let up 3 points to the Ravens. Granted, with Cooper Rush at quarterback. Still 3 points.
Yeah.
And they've allowed under 21 in 5 of their 7 games. And they are 5-0 in those games. The Rams defense, I think, is going to have an absolute field day. I can see this as being another 7-sack day for the defense. I've got the Rams winning it dominantly 34-7.
Yeah, the Saints making a quarterback change feels a little bit like changing the captain of the Titanic. Tyler Shug, show us what you got. I will maintain the Saints, a very well-coached team. Talent deficient. And might only get more so should Chris Olave get moved. I have this one as 28-14. I think that it's 28-0 before the starters get pulled, and Tyler Shug puts up a couple garbage time touchdowns to make it look prettier. The Saints are bad, and they will get better, hopefully, when they draft a competent quarterback, because they have a solid offensive line. And, I mean, Chris Olave might be gone, but theoretically they have a solid receiving core. Or dead, yeah. It depends on if he survives the season.
Not dead, but medically limited.
Yeah. It's hard to pick against the home team generally. The Rams don't really have much of a home field advantage, but it's the Saints. And speaking of teams where it's just them and there's kind of nothing you can do about it, the Raiders play the Jaguars this week. And I am going to go on a little bit of a tangent about Liam Cohen real quick. Liam Cohen might be the man of the year at the coaching position. Because I don't know if you saw any of this, but there were clips that were being circulated online about the meetings in Jacksonville following the loss to LA. And Liam Cohen took all of the blame on his shoulders to the point where the rookie running back, Bashal Tutin, tried to take some of the blame on his own shoulders. And Liam said, no, I put you in a bad position. That is king shit. And it's part of what made Liam Cohen so beloved in Tampa. It's part of why he got a head coaching job just a year into the Tampa gig. And it's why I believe the Jaguars will take the decrepit corpse of Pete Carroll out back 35-14 in Vegas. I don't think that's particularly controversial. A big Brock Bowers touchdown, a big Ashton Genty touchdown. Both of these teams coming off the bye. One of them is going to have taken it seriously, and the other one is the home team, and they play in Las Vegas.
Yeah, I mean, the Raiders, we've talked about kind of where they stand so far this season. You've got a lot of talented pieces there. You don't quite have enough, and frankly, at the quarterback position, you are lacking. Geno Smith has shown he is not the guy. With that being said, Liam Cohen taking all the blame for the Jaguars is what you want to see out of your coach. It is what you want to see out of players. It is the kind of responsibility that builds quality culture. And the Jaguars really did struggle against the Rams in London. Despite the fact that's a good defense, struggling like that is not what you want to see when you've got the pieces on offense that the Jaguars do.
Yeah.
And when you've got an offensive coach that the Jaguars do. I think the Jaguars have an absolute bounce-back week. I'm right there with you. I think they put up 31 on the Raiders. I've got the Raiders putting up 17, but I think that, frankly, might be a little bit generous.
Yeah.
I think the Jags are going to come out of the bye week with a little bit of fire, and I think they're going to absolutely take the Raiders out back. But props to Liam Cohen, and Jaguars, show us that you can contend. Go out, beat a team that you're clearly better than, and beat them dominantly. And with that, onto a team that has been dominant, coming off of a bye week. We've got the Seattle Seahawks in prime time playing against the Washington Commanders in D.C. The Commanders, I believe, still without Jaden Daniels.
I honestly am not sure that it matters. I know for a fact they're without Terry McLaurin, and I said this coming into the season. Some of the Commanders fans I know dogged on me for it. I have been proven right. Deebo Samuel, not that guy anymore. Barely a capable 2. And a Commanders fan friend of mine who has graduated, he and I were talking on Monday, and I said, this is how I started the conversation. I said, man, in hindsight, Washington really got nothing out of that Jahan Dotson trade. I don't know who they drafted with that pick or who they traded that pick for. It doesn't really matter. Jahan Dotson is on track to be the most productive receiver 3 of the Sirianni era. And I don't know if you saw the catch that he made over the Giants DB, but he literally just mossed a Giants DB in Philadelphia for a late touchdown that put the Eagles over the top. And oh boy, could Jaden Daniels use a guy like that. And there was no reason to get rid of him before seeing what he could do with Jaden Daniels on the field. And I don't know what Adam Peters was thinking.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think at the time, I was thinking to myself, why in the world would you trade Jahan Dotson? You just spent you just spent a day 2 pick on him.
Day 1. He was a round 1 pick.
He was a round 1?
He was a first-round pick.
I thought he was a mid-sec. You just spent a day 1 pick on a receiver, and you're trading him away before, what, year 2?
Before year 3.
It was year 3. It was before year 3.
To a division rival.
And I wanted to see. I thought Jahan Dotson had a lot of potential. I thought it was just that he hadn't had the situation to be able to show that. Right now, Washington needs a solid receiver, and I could have told you when they signed Deebo Samuel that Deebo Samuel wasn't the guy. It was very clear that he was kind of a one-year wonder, and the Commanders really need that. Jaden Daniels is active. He is healthy, which is good to see. It's obviously great to have your QB1. But with that being said, the Seahawks have probably the best receiver in the league right now this season.
Yeah.
In Jackson Smith and Jigba. They've got a good receiver, too, in Cooper Kupp. And Sam Darnold has been absolutely slinging it. And I've got the Seahawks. Winning this one 31-20. I mean, the Commanders, you don't have anybody to throw the ball to.
Yeah.
Your running back game hasn't been the most consistent. Even with Jaden Daniels, I don't see the Commanders being able to put up 3 touchdowns in this game. And it's not to say that the Seahawks defense is that good or the Commanders offense is that bad. I think the Seahawks offense is really going to be able to control this game, and I think that they're going to have a dominant performance. The
Seahawks are slowly sneaking their way into my Super Bowl contention tier list. Sam Darnold is playing lights out. The defense, incredibly well coached, very talented, very, very good unit. Those are the only 2 things you need to win a Super Bowl are good offense and good defense. I just
that's the entire game.
I just broke the NFL. All you need is a good offense and a good defense. I don't know how teams fail to make that happen. It's not like players ever.
It's such an easy winning formula.
That's what as a team, as a fan of a team, as fans of teams with good offenses and good defenses.
By the way, we are completely saying that ironically, we could not do the jobs of NFL coaches or NFL GMs. Saying that completely ironically, we could not do the jobs of professional NFL coaches or general managers.
No, I think it would take at least 3 years of stewardship under Sean McVay, Kevin O'Connell, and Kyle Shanahan, before I could even maybe competently scheme one NFL passing play. All that being said, Seahawks, a very good football team. would not be stunned if they made a deep playoff run or if they upset some people in the playoffs. I've got them beating the Commanders 35-21. The Commanders, I think, probably score a garbage time touchdown or 2 or 3 to make it look more competitive than it was. But Seattle is the far superior team this season. I think that should be a good Sunday night football game, though. It will certainly be one of the best jersey matchups of the season. The Seahawks are wearing their throwbacks, as are the Commanders. They are in their Super Bowl era jerseys.
We love a good uniform matchup. And on to another game that I feel like is a little bit of a similar tale. We've got the Cardinals coming off of a bye going into Dallas. And we talked about earlier, Dallas had a tough week offensively against Denver and just got dominated. And I think that this is going to be a bounce back. Kyler Murray is still listed as questionable, meaning Jacoby Brissett, despite he did play a pretty solid game last week. Not last week, 2 weeks ago. Jacoby Brissett probably going to end up being your starting quarterback. And you're playing against a dominant Dallas offense, and your defense isn't anything to write home about. And I've got the Cowboys coming in, bouncing back, and putting up 35 points to get a win against the Cardinals with a final of 35-20.
Yeah, I have the Cardinals injury report in front of me. B.J. Ojolari was limited. Walter Nolan was limited. Those are two big pieces of this defense to not be 100% to play. Kyler Murray is a big piece of this team to not be 100% to play. And the Cowboys are looking for revenge after a really, really piss-poor offensive week. They're going to take it out. They know Jonathan Gannon's scheme well. They've been able to exploit it since he was the Eagles' defensive coordinator. I think Dallas lost to Philadelphia once when Jonathan Gannon was the coordinator, and it was in Philadelphia in 2022. It's a scheme that the Cowboys are intimately familiar with. It's a scheme Dak Prescott can tear to shreds. I expect him to do that. I've got 44-21 on Monday night. Cowboys over Cardinals. I don't think it's ever going to be particularly close. I think the Cowboys might score 3 or 4 times before the Cardinals score once.
Yeah, I can easily see that happening. Similar tale for a lot of these games that we've said. Cowboys, right now you're a better team. Got embarrassed. Go out and embarrass the team you're better than.
Yeah.
Just go out and do it. Prove that you still deserve a seat in the conversation. But with that ends the slate for this weekend's games. And just to kind of jump ahead a little bit, we're going to talk about next Thursday's game, which is a matchup between the Raiders and Broncos.
You and I have this game pinned similarly. We talked about this with the Jags-Raiders game this week. One of these teams is good at football, and the other one plays in Las Vegas.
And is bad at football.
I've got the Broncos 28-7 next Thursday. I don't think it's ever going to feel or be particularly close. If ever there was a team the Broncos should just absolutely put in the dirt, it's the Raiders. It's a home game for the Broncos. Just get it done. Yeah. Just do it.
It is that simple. I've got the Broncos winning 24-10. I think that's probably a little bit kind for the Raiders. I don't think at any point in the game this game's going to feel close. I think it's going to look closer in this first half than it probably will feel. But just go get it done, Denver. You want to prove that you're one of the big teams, so just go do it.
All right.
And just to check in on our record predictions from last week.
Yes. Last week we were both 8-5. I correctly predicted the Jets. You correctly predicted the Ravens over the Bears. That means our yearly records are still separated by the same amount they were last week. I am 41-31. You are 43-29. It's been a really good year for both of us so far. The fact that we're both separated from 500 by so much, is a pretty good indication.
Yeah, it makes me think that maybe we do know what we're talking about sometimes.
Hey, I mean, that makes me feel good about myself.
It does make me feel good about myself too. But thank you guys so much for watching this week. Our Instagram, our Twitter, and our TikTok will all be down in the description. Go give those a follow. We try to post at least a couple reels and TikToks every single week, as well as some game day tweets. But go give those a follow. Thank you guys so much for watching, and we will see you next week.